Hey guys, what it is Yo Girl Cadillac, the Draw My Life Prison Wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping to see justice before all fades to black. Yeah, it's your girl Cadillac. So today I'm coming through on November the 18th. Um, it is afternoon. I love today is Friday. Girl, I hope I had to ask my sister, is today Friday? Because Tuesday through Thursday I work morning shifts, and then that Thursday night I'm able to stay up as late as I want to, working on what I want to, doing what I want to, because I know I don't have to get up until a certain time to get to work in the evening, right? So it's more margin. That's, I love that word, margin, in my life. So in that day I have more margin between work and life, more I can do. First, I wanted to explain my intro a little bit. I don't even know how that became my intro because I had a different intro last year. I have a comic book character named Super Rapping Woman. I have been wanting to actually bring her to life through real comic book for years. I'm not the greatest story writer, but your girl can draw. So the plan was for Marcello to write the storyline because he is an awesome author. He has written 4 books while he's been in prison. He's currently working on one. I never find the time because everything lies on my shoulders. If I don't do it for Marcello, it won't get done. His family won't do anything for him. So, and he doesn't have any friends. So, needless to say, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. So, if I don't find the time to do it, it's not going to happen. So, his books have not gotten published yet, though he sent them home about 12 years ago, and I still haven't gotten them books published. But he's an awesome author. So he was going to write my storyline of my comic book character, and I was just going to illustrate. But this is another project that is in my head. It never gets to fruition because y'all already know me as an artist. Art takes time. I don't have time. My first and foremost dedication in this life is always work. That's why I want to get off the work train so bad so that I can actually finally do things in life that I was created to do. I was watching Jordan, the Chosen One, and one of his videos yesterday said your 9 to 5 is paying you to forget about your purpose. And it's true. And it's not that they're paying you to, is that we live in reality. I don't care how much of an artist I am. I live on planet Earth and I live in America, which might be worse. I live in America. You have to work. You work to live and you live to work. You're never paid a livable wage so that you can live off of what you work for and you could put some to the side for later. You seem to never be able to get ahead. And I know I have never been able to get ahead. I have been working since I was 17 years old, which I fought my mother to get my first job. I asked her, Mom, all my friends working, why I can't work? Why I can't work? And she said, Keita, the day you start working, you'll never stop until, if you retire, or like her, she was never able to retire. She was taken by negligence of a doctor before retirement. She was just about to retire. And she had just received her master's, about to get her doctorate, and finally about to live her life. But her life was over. So we spend much of our life trying to get to the point where we can live our life. And by the time we look back, it's over. Life is over. Life is like this. It's like a flame. What was that song Elton John had back in the day? But life is that fast. I literally was just born, and now I'm probably more than halfway through my life. And I am no closer to living in my purpose than I was when I started this life's journey, right? So I don't know. I might try his mentoring program. He does say that he guarantees that you would get into your own business and out of your 9 to 5, basically like a purpose delayer. That's what it does. I can't believe that God sent all us to this earth to just work. Really, the stuff we working for is supposed to be freaking free. But somebody decided we must work to have shelter. We must work to eat. Ain't the food supposed to be free? It grows out the ground. Confusion. All right. So I started working at 17. At now 41, will be 42 before I can even turn around, because my birthday is in June and time is moving like that, and June will be here before we realize. And I don't have anything to show for all those years of hard, excruciating hard work. And I think majority of us don't. If we really want to be honest, we don't have anything, or if we do have something to show for it, it's very little. So for me, that's why I always said I had to think bigger and outside of the box. I'm going to need something major to set me, Marcello, our daughter up, because working is not going to get us to our goals at all. Working is barely going to get your necessities met. I work with a lot of people, like this one girl in particular. She works 2 jobs. She is sleepy all the time. She never sleeps. I've been there. Never gets to sleep. You take a nap in between going to work, then you go to another day of work. All to pay for rent, but you don't have no time to be in your apartment. So you're paying for a unit to be there, but you don't occupy it. If you have kids or a family, you are away at work more than you're with your family. So you have a family, but you don't get to spend time with them. So they're just there, and you're not there in relationship with them because you're at work. Work takes you from so much. You want to be on a spiritual journey. You want to be doing the things that God left us to do. Those things take time. And really, I'm coming to the realization that you just have to input the time somewhere, some kind of way. You got to force a wedge into to meditating, into praying. I don't no longer jump out the bed. I used to jump out the bed. Number one, I can't, because I'll pull my back because I'm all messed up. So I got to ease myself out the bed. But number two, like I said, that floor is like hot lava. You can't just jump out and go running through that hot lava. When I get up and I sit at the edge of my bed, I look down at the ground as though it is hot and gonna burn me up. I get back in the bed and I reset my alarm, and I sit there and I pray and I meditate. And I ask God to just lead me, because, baby, I am lost. I don't know what direction to go. It's like I've been everywhere and never found my destination. Like, I don't know, like as if your GPS just went haywire, like it used to do back in the day when GPS first came out, and it would tell you, you're at your destination. You'd be like, where? There's like a tree and a log. Where's my destination? This is not it. That's how I feel. I'm lost in my life. I believe I know my purpose, but that can't be my purpose because I'm never able to live in it. So I don't know. I'm just in a point in my life where I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just ready to play out the rest of my life however it is. I no longer want to fight what is. I no longer want to strive for a better day. I no longer want to, I'm in the point where I'm letting go of my dreams, dreams that I've had. I am realizing that I'm not going to have them. And before you say it, that's because you're being negative. Let me address that first because I know that's what's coming. I'm not being negative. I feel like I'm one of the most positive person you can ever in your life come across. I have been through so much um, disappointment, failure umpteen million times. And a person that is negative, once you fail, that's that hurt. It gets harder to try again. And then you fail again. It's even more harder. Baby, if you only knew how many times I failed. Almost everything I do, I fail. It never works. It doesn't never play out the way y'all know I have these grand schemes in my mind, and I always come back to the drawing board as, oh, that ish didn't work. So just like one of my favorite movies was Hurricane. I love a good prison movie because most people don't understand the prison situation, being a loved one to someone in prison. So a lot of times you're looking for something that you can relate to so that you realize you're not so crazy, because you start thinking you're just a crazy weirdo that believes a certain way and no other body in this world does, and it's just something wrong with you. So I always look for movies and stuff like that for inspiration. I used to be in a lot of prison wife and prison reform groups so that I can get around people that understand what's really going on, not the people that think they know what's going on behind those curtains. Believe in this fake justice system. It's not working, but they think it is working properly because them or their loved ones not caught in that trap. So, you know. But y'all know Hurricane, back in the day, he was wrongfully convicted. He was in prison for something he did not do, though he had a previous record, and that makes it even worse. They just assume you're guilty because you've been guilty before. Okay. So he had a previous record. He went to prison. He fought. You get exhausted with fighting. You try to fight through the legal remedies that should actually release you, but the judges and stuff, they don't even read that ish. I'm telling you, they don't go by law. They don't go by any of those things. I don't even know what the is. Basically, the legal system is who you know. You know somebody, then possibly you can get out of it. If you can pay somebody, then possibly you can get out of it. I'll never forget, and this is probably saying way too much. When I worked at Winn-Dixie back in 2001, when Marcello first got arrested, this one guy, and I'm sorry to keep going off a track, that's just how my mind goes. I'm sorry, it wanders. But this one guy, he was a little older than me. I was 19. I was 19. I just had my daughter 2 months, and then my husband was arrested right after that. He was still 19. I was 20. Okay. And when I told the guy it was a stalker, an older guy stalker. And when I told him what happened, he was like, you got to pay that judge. And I'm looking like, huh? What are you talking about? You can't do that. He was like, I'm telling you, I have been in trouble. And the only way out of this is you have to pay that judge. I'm like, you can't do that. That's not how the system works. You have to go through trial. They have to produce evidence. He said, I am telling you. He was telling me, he was telling me how I need to become a part of a credit union. I need to get a loan. I need to do this and do that and get the money and go pay the judge. And I refused to believe it because I really thought that the justice system that they tell us where we're innocent until proven guilty, I really thought that stuff existed. I guess he knew more than me. It's crazy. So possibly if it's at a point where it's favor for favor and the person fighting for you can do a favor, then possibly you can get out of it through the legal system, but really it's not going to happen. And a lot of the reason I've been on this fight for so long is because I started out believing in justice and thinking there was a shot in hell that Marcello could be freed from his wrongful conviction. I come back now knowing all the knowledge that I've learned over these years, having all the experiences with this system that I've had over these years, where they don't care how right or wrong you are. You're wrong because you are powerless and you're voiceless. I now realize that justice that I believed in, that mythical creature of justice, it's not going to save him. True, Marcello didn't commit the crime, but most likely Marcello's going to do all his time. I hate to say it. It's just the elephant in the room. And he has about almost 17 more years. So he's gotten through his wrongful conviction of 21 years. I guess if you can get through 21 years, you can get through 17 if you keep living, Marcello. Yeah. So I have slowly let go of my dreams. My dream for me and Marcello to be, together, free. I let that go. That is why when we were on the outside, when he was on the outside, I said we, but basically you do get anyone that is holding down their loved one in prison, they are also locked up as well. I'm doing time as well. And wrongfully, but yes, I'm still doing time. But in 2020, I let go of the dream that he would be free. I said, fuck it, you're not coming home. Let's go ahead and get married. I wanted to get married with him on the outside. I wanted him home first before that happens. And I came to realization that's not going to happen. So I basically said, let's go ahead and get married. We went through the all of the things that we had to do. We got approved and everything through the warden, through the chapel. Everything was approved. It was just a few technicalities that they were looking for, and then I would have been married to my husband, the love of my life, for the rest of my life. But then more injustice happened. And the only little bit of us being together actually in the physical was through visitation. And that was taken away from us through bogus means. I do have a story time that you can, I'll link it in the description and you can check it out if you want to know what happened. But they laughed at me, told me get my ass out of there basically and go on about your fucking business because we have the power over you and we don't care about your fake ass family through prison visits. Okay, that was technically what they said, right? So it then became that I guess the only way now you and Marcello will ever get married is through a phone call. Y'all gotta get married over the phone. Or there's this other situation where you can get married proxy, where there's certain states you can go to and someone stands in as that person and y'all get married in that manner. So it's always reduced to the lowest form of something for me. It's always the lowest level of something that I have to accept. I wanted more kids. I wanted 5 kids. I had to accept that I have one, and I'm very grateful and thankful for my one. And I love her to life. I love my grandchild. So I have wiped off the wanting for more kids off. I let go of that dream. That's not going to happen for me now. And we're being honest, And I know, like I said, y'all are going to say I'm just being negative. I'm not being negative. I am stating the most likely outcome to this, because nothing's happening, nothing's moving, there's no support, There's nobody pushing. I can't do it alone. I've tried to do it alone. This is why it's taken so long. So I'm just in acceptance mode where what is. And I have to accept that if I ever want any piece of happiness in my life. So I got up this morning and I took a shower. I was listening to one of my YouTubers that I love, Lynette. Her name is Lynette Atkins. And she made this video this morning that you are enough. The way you are, who you are, what you are, everything that you are is already enough. You really don't have to get better to be enough. You're enough now. And she was talking about how people want to achieve this, achieve the American dream. She talks about that a lot. The American dream, number one, is not really for black people. It's not really a real dream, to be honest. But it definitely is not for black people. The American dream is, the American dream is the house, the car, the kids, the white picket fence, and the career. And you grow old together on the porch, and that's it. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. It's the best stuff in life, the little things. That's what the American dream really is about. And that if you work hard, you can get to those things. I worked hard my whole life. And no matter how hard I work, those things evade me. And she was saying that no matter what you achieve, like a lot of people just are trying to achieve so that they can be worthy. I've never wanted to achieve anything so that I could be worthy. I wanted to achieve so that I can get out of the place that I live, basically the place of lack that I live in, the place of never quite making ends meet that I live in, the place of always struggling that I live in, the place of, that's what I wanted out of. And I wanted to be able to afford my husband to come home, because that is the missing link, money. You have got to be, if you're in this system, you have got to have some form of money to ever be considered anything. Lawyers depend on money. They don't care. There is not one lawyer, I don't think, that steps forward and says that he shouldn't be there. Let me help you get help. The first conversation is how much money you have and how much money this is going to cost for his freedom. So as long as I don't have money, Marcello does not have freedom, and he won't have freedom. We're being honest. We're not being negative. We're being honest. Okay. So I always knew for my family to make it, number one, I became a single mother overnight. Though me and Marcello planned to raise our daughter alone, I woke up one morning and realized that it changed. No longer were we going to raise her together. We were going to raise her. I was going to raise her alone. And I was going to do it, I don't even know, but I knew that I had to do it. I'm her mother, and whatever she becomes in life is going to stem off of my back. I started working 2 jobs. I started working overnight. I had certain family members helping take care of money, but they weren't taking care of my daughter the way I wanted them to take care of her. They were like just leaving her there. I would come, a pamper would be wet. Nobody's going to watch your baby the way you would watch your own child. And I said, rather than my child get less, I'm going to do more. I quit my day job, went working overnight, and kept our daughter all day. I barely slept. I slept I got off at 7 a.m. Y'all know this story. I got off at 7 a.m., creep in the door, get maybe an hour and a half of sleep before Money was waking up. I would stay up all day with her, tired as heck, falling on my face, falling asleep in random places, all types of stuff, while falling asleep at traffic freaking lights, because I was overexhausted. Taking one more nap, cat nap, when I was able to get Money to go to sleep. Taking one more cat nap, and then in the evening, when my mother and father finally came home to get her, I was rushing to school so that I could hurry up and sleep in the parking lot. All that struggle, all that freaking hard work. I got through hair school and then my freaking hands go out. My body has always let me down. I'm an awesome cosmetologist. I have so much freaking talent, but I don't have the ability in my hands. So I had to quit that rather than, the negative person would have been like, damn, this didn't work. Let me give up. Not me. I got back up. I said, screw that. Let's do it on my mental ability. I'm an awesome writer. I've always been a great poet. Let's become a rapper. I never thought, oh no, you can't make it in rap. That's too big of a dream. No, baby, I went after that. I didn't know all the politics of rap either. Rap is politics. And unless you're willing to sell you already know, and unless you're willing to downgrade yourself as a woman and exploit your body, you're not making it as a rapper. I also did not know that before I pursued my rap career, because I never would have pursued it. That was just a waste of time. I would not have wasted my time in something that I knew that I still had to sell my whole essence to be. Okay, that didn't work. I'm a talented ass artist, painter, drawer. I can draw you. I can draw anything I look at. I said, let me go ahead and make this art for real. Let's make this art for real. Going to shows, doing this, doing that. All the while still always having to work overnight because there was nothing else to pay my bills. No matter what I tried, no matter what I built, no matter what I came up with, nothing paid the bills but the actual clocking in to work. That's the only thing that ever paid my bills. But I still always had in the back of my mind that one day, once my plans finally worked out, I would not have to live this way. I always thought that. I always thought this was just a time in my life of struggle. I never thought that my whole life would actually be that struggle. It's not until now that I'm realizing, Keita, your whole life is going to be a struggle. And at the end of the struggle, you're not going to make it. So, art career failed. Cosmetologist career failed. And not because I'm not good enough. It's because I don't know. Okay, so I said, let me go back to college. Art ain't working, but let's make it legit. Let's become a graphic designer. If I wasn't disabled, do you know how much further in life I could have went? But my body is just failing me. I'm going blind. I'm already blind. That eye don't see shit. I don't see anything. This eye is getting to that point, but it's already blind to where I barely see. I have a contact that, it helps, and I'm grateful for the vision I have, because it was to a point before where I didn't even have the contact. So I'm grateful to be able to open my eyes and see. It's just I'm trying to get somewhere before my ship sinks. I'm sinking, and I'm panicking, trying to get off of this ship. It's going down. It's going down. I wake up, let me tell you now. Okay, so I've never been able to get my graphic design thing off. Shortly through going back to school in my 30s, my mother passes away the first semester after I'm in school. But I made her proud, and I finished school off the contingency that I made my mother proud. One time, the loser child, the child that never amounts to nothing. That's me. Never amounts to nothing, right? I finally made her proud. So I said I was gonna finish school just off of that. I get in school, the counselors say you'll never be a graphic designer, you're too slow. Well, it's because of my disabilities again. That carpal tunnel holding me back again. Then I also lost my job of working overnight due to a slip and fall. When they found out, I wasn't even in the same store that I worked in, but when they found out that I worked for the company, they wrote me up until they were able to fire me because I got hurt at the job. So again, injustice just haunts me down. It's in every part of my life. My mother died unjustly. My body is messed up unjustly. Not the carpal tunnel, but the herniated disc. The herniated disc in my neck and my back, my pinched nerves, all of that come from that slip and fall that effed me up. And basically they swept me up off the floor and said, go on about your fucking life. And now it's even more harder for me to work, right? But I still can't get off this work shift because I have nothing else going. I have nothing else going for myself. I have no other way to pay my bills. And I'm looking at even now, I have to stay full time at work, number one, because I have to take the highest level of insurance because I need a cornea transplant. And that's the only one that's going to pay for that cornea transplant. Okay. But I can't even work full-time hours because I have nubs that don't work. I have done so many different jobs. I'm scared that I can't do my job. I've been in a laundry room. It felt like somebody split me open like a baked potato. I moved from the laundry room to a cashier position. I'm thinking that I'm in a slower restaurant where I could just, be able to handle the amount of traffic, because I have been a cashier before, but counting all that money numbed up my hands, can't feel my hands. So I was scared, but I said, let me try it. Now it could be okay for me, but the ironic thing is that the position I'm in, the one part that nobody ever wants to be is the cashier. And Jordan said that too. And Jordan's The Chosen One, he was like, he always had to do drive-through, and they would never move him around. They would never. That's how they do me. The thing that hurts me is the freaking cashier. And if it could be that I cashier one day and then people cashier and then it comes back to me, I probably would be able to let my hands subside from the numbness and swelling before it's time for me to cashier again. But ironically, nobody wants to cashier, so I always have to do it. It's always me, so that it's always numbing up my hands. So I let people know. I hate to always tell you that I'm disabled because people mistreat disabled people. They do. So I don't go in telling you I'm disabled. But if you would just treat me equally, it wouldn't really become an issue. But I'm always treated unequally. Boy, that's why I'm learning to speak up for myself more. So